it's Grace's story. Not mine, but for the time being, thank you guys, and hopefully you guys have a good day. And until next time, people, peace.
What he's not saying, yeah, you're good, yeah. I'm backing that, you know what I mean, guys. And apologies for the long wait and that in it, because obviously it's been a bit of a long thing at the moment. But man's backing that, doing what he's doing and that. But as usual, you know what I mean, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and that, guys. Again, once again, thank you, guys. You know what I mean. I'm still out here doing what I gotta do. Still keep motivated, keep grinding and that. Do you get what I mean? And yeah, man. Back to Fear the Walking Dead, you know what I mean? Because obviously now my last one was about it was episode 12 about Grace. Now we move back onto episode 13, and the episode's called JD. So I mean, the thing is that the funny thing about it is that you can say it's either John Dorie or June Dorie, or because it's JD. It could be either both, but this story focuses on June. And obviously she's gotten back, trying to find, more just basically get an idea of what happened with her, because we didn't really get much insight about her after the death of her husband. And obviously when we saw her kill Virginia, we didn't really get much about, understanding her psychological, what's the word? It's her psyche, you know what I mean, and her psychological process of, going through all this at the same, everything just happened so fast. So we got a chance to kind of get an idea of, where she is mentally, and yeah, and I'm going to talk about it from what I've just seen. So bear in mind, it's been a while since I watched the episode. I'm just going to go through memory as always and see what I do, see how I do in it. So guys, yeah, onto it, bruv. Right. Let me just go back to just sidetracking all my ting and that. So let's go back to the to see what I won. Let me just bear with me a second. If you could just bear with me a second, let me just do one thing quickly. All right, 1 second. Bear with me a second. Blood. What's going on? Right. All right. So the scene starts off with June. She's walking. She's walking towards. She's back at the camp, the unknown place where Morgan built. She goes and has a conversation with Morgan, and obviously based on the last episode, we know what happened with Grace losing her baby. Morgan, obviously everyone's hurt, everyone's going through it, everyone's trying to heal from what's just happened, and obviously he's upset from what's happened, and obviously he's kind of taken his blame on June, because remember from the last episode, when you remember there was a part where he called June on the radio. I know sometimes I'm talking about talking first person and third person, but sometimes I keep thinking that this is an audience that's actually watched Walking Dead. But for those who haven't seen Walking Dead, I'm also talking to you guys as well. But now I'm gonna try my best to try and also talk for those who have never seen it. So yeah, so she's speaking to Morgan, or Morgan's speaking to her, and he's upset, you know what I mean, based on what's happened, you know what I mean, and he's taken all his blame on June. And obviously, there were some facts that he said, and there was a lot of stuff that he was just saying because he was just upset. You get me? And yeah, he kind of put all the blame on June, and then obviously he kind of kicked her out the house, you know what I mean, or the place. He didn't allow her to come in. Obviously June just wanted to see how Grace is, obviously, because obviously mentally that's gonna mess somebody up, you know what I mean, losing a baby, do you know what I mean? So she wanted just to check. So Morgan was like, nah, you know what I mean? So she took time off to just process everything. And while she's going off to go and process and find out what's going on, that she meets she goes back to Tank Town, I mean, a little area where the oil confinement is, and then she meets somehow she hears a noise, and it's Dwight's basically following her, and yeah, and she's like, "What, Dwight? What are you doing here?" And obviously he's like, oh, I was about to ask you the same question. And then obviously he's like, oh, he explains to June that he heard the conversation that she had with Morgan, and obviously she was like, I don't remember what she said at that moment, but basically along the lines of basically they're just kind of having a conversation based on, you know, the conversation she had with Morgan at the time, and Sherry was there as well. I guess, you know, they were probably out there looking for, I don't know what, can't remember what they were looking for at the time, but all I remember is that they were looking for something, and then they had the conversation, and all of a sudden, boop, you know what I mean, there was a shooting. Bear in mind, what I've also forgotten to say as well is that the letter as well, she had the letter as well that she had in her pocket that Jacob gave to her, which was from John, as we saw from the episode. He was writing that, well, he wrote the letter. I think it was either the episode 4 from the key, or episode 6. Sorry, not 6, 7, 8. Sorry, episode 8. Door. I can't remember which one it was, but I think it might have been the key. The episode 6, episode 4, the door, where he wrote the letter. So yeah, so there's a shootout, and there's an old man shooting at them, and obviously they're sort of hiding and kind of like trying to find out what's going on. So then I think either Sherry shoots back at them, shoots back at him, then he does a runner. And then June goes to go investigate. She finds that there's a random caravan right there in the middle of, you know, in the middle of nowhere. She jumps in just to try and investigate what's in there, and then finds out, you know, she just sees all these little posters and post-its, you know what I mean, on the wall of little pictures and frames, and she's just trying to investigate and find out, like, wait, what's this? And then she realizes that all these images are of this new group, or groups or locations that have been blown up, or locations that they were in that got blown up, such as Tank Town, and, you know, the plans of this new group called, you know, allegedly called The End Is the Beginning, and which is run by, we know, this guy called Teddy, who we get we get the information of his real name by this new character that we just, you know, we see in this episode when June is in this caravan. Like I said, just as she's in the caravan, as she's looking at this at these pictures, a random man just comes in, a random old man comes in, you know, pointing a gun at her and said, "Who are you? Are you those guys from the I'm gonna try and do the accent." So, "Are you those guys from the End Is the Beginning?" Is that a good accent? Wait, I'm just trying to do it again. "Who are you? Are you those guys from the End of the Beginning?" I think that's how you do it anyway. I don't know if that was good. And yeah, and basically she's like, "No, it's actually the contrary. We're actually after those people as well." And then obviously he's like, he's kind of he's not having it. He's like, nah. I don't know who you are. And I mean, and he's obviously putting her hostage. Lo and behold, you know, she's getting information about who, you know, about this group. He's revealing a little bit more about them, saying, you know, this person's called Ftwd. He's been going after him for a while. You know, he should have killed him when he had the chance to. He's been believing in this idea, this philosophy of the end is the beginning, even before the apocalypse. And yeah, like he's planning to do something mega and bad, you know what I mean? And he reveals a lot about, you know, why he abandoned John, you know, because even in the episode, especially the key, episode 4, John revealed a lot about his father, about how he was abandoned and what happened. And then we find out the reason why he abandoned his family. You know, he was holding on a lot of guilt. And he was blaming himself a lot of the time for, you know, not being with his son, you know what I mean? And obviously, you know, in the beginning, he started off being a bit of an arsehole, and that. Obviously, arsehole's more of an American thing, isn't it? Yeah, in other words, in the UK, we say he's being a bit of a dickhead, isn't it? So yeah, so then he was like saying to her, he was calling her darling, innit? And she was like, "Don't call me darling," and she, like, you know, swerved the van on one side, and then, you know, nearly knocked him over, you know what I mean, knocked him unconscious. And then obviously, like, she points a gun at him, and obviously then he realizes the gun is his gun. Then that's when we instantly we know that this is John Dorie's father. I mean, because he says that gun's my gun with his initials JD. So then yeah, so then it's like, it was just a massive surprise, you get me? And obviously she's like, are you not gonna ask me who I am? And he's like, I already know who you are, because obviously you've got my son's gun, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? And you've got 2 rings, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? So what you know what I mean? How else, you know what I mean? How do you think I wouldn't know? Do you know what I mean? I know already you're his wife. Well, he didn't say that, but he already knew already that was his wife. It was very, very, very obvious. I'm just let me just go yeah, and then there's another scene where Dwight and Sherry are obviously exploring, trying to find where June went. I don't really understand how they got lost, because they were just in one place all of a sudden I don't really understand. So yeah, so they go and look for they're looking for June, trying to find out where she is. But obviously Sherry's got a bit of her challenges as well. Like, she still has this darkness inside of her that Dwight is still trying to find out and trying to figure out what is going on. You know, she's had this since the beginning of the season. It's like, she's very, very complicated, trying to find out what is going on with her. And she's just bottling up all this trauma, and we're just like, still all of us are trying to understand like, what is going on with Sherry. Do you know what I mean? So then it moves on to let's keep going. I'm gonna yeah. So so he goes back to John Dorie and June, and he goes out to the truck to find out why the van is not actually moving, and then finds out that the van, has been trapped by a walker, and that's the reason why it's not moving. So he was a bit pissed off about that, and then obviously, like, I think so I'm just trying. Let me just try and remember. Let me just go back and see what happened there. Yeah, so he's taking the thing out. There's not much that it doesn't really say much what happens with the van. Then we go straight onto Sherry's scene with Dwight. He's it's crazy because, like, the horse loses energy, and all of a sudden it collapses, and then Sherry just shoots the horse out of the blue, and Dwight's just like, what the fuck? I mean, and then we know already that something's not right with Sherry. She's not right in the head. I mean, and obviously Dwight is just trying to figure out what is going on with Sherry. What's going on? Like, what's going on with you? Like, why are you like this? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? And then she reveals that she wants to go back to Virginia to go. She wants to take up her revenge on Negan, and he's like thinking to himself, like, Negan. Like, obviously we kind of moved on from that. You kind of want to go all the way back to Negan. I'm like, what's the point? But obviously he didn't say that, but you could just read it on his face. And and then he said that, I'll help you, what I mean, but let's find June first, and I'll help you get back on your way to go and go back to Virginia. And as they're on their way with this one horse, because obviously the other one she shot the horse in the head, they find the jacket of June on the tree, and then he picks it, and then obviously they go off their way. And then let's go and see what happens in the next part there. All right, so the next part is, they find the caravan of is the conversation. I think, this is the conversation with John Dorie and June. Let's see what's going on. They're having a conversation. Yeah, I'm actually just watching the episode here just to get a little recap of World 1. 1 second, there we go. He's having a conversation. What happens there? Right, so yeah, they're walking now to John Dorie, because he's saying in that scene, June's telling John that we need to go back to the cabin, because obviously the cabin is that's where John is, that's where she met him, and that's why she he excuse me, that's why he died as well. And she was explaining to his father that we need to go back there, but obviously the father doesn't want to go back there, because obviously he feels he feels like he failed as a father, because he's given him so much memories of where he failed, because he left his son there 40 years ago, and he doesn't want to go back because he doesn't want to remember, that time, and obviously he doesn't want to go back to his past, because it's going to hurt him. But he's like, you need to go back there because it's your son, that's how you're going to develop and grow, Then they decide they take a walk, going down there. She convinces him, and they take a walk going back down there, just having a little conversation as well while they're down there. And then they head off to. Let me just see if there's another part. There's another part before. Let me go quickly. Bam, 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 bam. Yeah, so they head off to the sweet shop where, you know, where John's always been getting. Remember the part where I think in episode 8 on the door when we saw the first scene where John went into the sweet shop where he goes and collects his DVDs. You know, they go back in there, and then obviously they're having a conversation. And when it goes back, while they're in there, he's explaining a bit of facts about John, and then obviously June walks into the door. He walks inside to go and find. You just get a bit more evidence. A bit more of artifacts about John, if there's anything left behind, any evidence, anything there that, you know, that he loved, anything, any little props or anything that is there, any sort of just any sort of I'll say artifacts, you know what I mean, of John left behind that she can, you know, take, you know what I mean, just to remember him. He shuts the door, locks her in there. And he's like, you know what, I'm not trying to do this no more. You know, he was just basically, you know what I mean, just upset and said, you know, I'm not trying to go down that route or whatever. She's like, you know, you're losing yourself, you know what I mean, you know, you'll never, you know, all these, you basically along those lines. And then obviously, like he said, he's like, oh no, but how have I lost myself when you ain't even bothered to read the letter that he gave to you, and all this. They're they go back and forth. He walks off, then obviously she's still trapped in there, and then obviously like he goes back to the cabin. He goes back to the cabin. And within the cabin, obviously there's a walker there. He stabs in the head. Then there's a random intruder is in the location, you know, the location spot. And then yeah, before that scene, obviously it goes back to Dwight and Sherry, and they're having a conversation. This is when she reveals that she wants to go back to Virginia, you know what I mean, to you know, to take Negan down. And then obviously, like, yeah, then like I said, he goes back, he meets this intruder. This intruder's like, you know, he puts a gun in his head, and he said, this is my son's coming, what you doing here? And he said, you know, who are you working for? Who is what, where is Ftwd, whatever, Magus, whatever his name is. And then he said to him, oh, something along the lines, what he said to, what else did he say to him? I thought he asked him 2 questions. I can't remember what the other one from the top of my head right now, because obviously my train of thought is just like, is all over the place. I'm just thinking about getting this video right, edited right. I'm just thinking about just saying the right things at the right time. I'm not really thinking about the words that's coming in my head right now, but later on when I review it, I'm gonna be like, shit, did I say that? Anyway, but yeah, yeah, so he puts a gun to him, and obviously like let me just see what happened there. They wrestle each other, right? And yeah, they wrestle each other, and then he sees the grave of his son, and you know that takes away his focus. Because of that, you know, the guy takes advantage and shoots him straight in the stomach. And as he's about to shoot him again, boom! There's a gunshot straight at his neck, and that was a shot I think it was by June. Shoots him straight in the head, or straight in the neck, and obviously like you know, we were all worried, saying, oh, we don't want John Dorie dead, you know what I mean, like on top of John Dorie, do you know what I mean, or John Dorie Senior on top, and dead on top of John Dorie Junior, do you know what I mean. And obviously we just find that, you know, he's been, obviously because we got June there, so we just wanted to cut a long story short, and obviously he's been cured, and he sort of walks out and goes into the car and realizes that he was wrong, you know. He's been holding everything in, and you know, he feels guilty for what he's done, you know, abandoning his child and that. And yeah, and then, you know, it comes to a kind of a conclusion, like where, you know, it's the very, very sad, the very sad scene where, you know, finally June opens a letter and then starts to read to the crew, or, you know, because all of them were there, herself, the John Dorie Senior, the father of John Dorie, and both Dwight and Sherry, and all of them learned something from that letter. And you know, he learned to forgive his father. It was a very sad scene. We saw a lot of the scenes he was talking about was when you know, from the past seasons, back from season 4, when he met June. And at the time, I think it was her, what was her name? Was she saying I think her name was Laura at the time? She said her name was, I think it was even Laura, I can't remember, but yeah, she gave her a disguised name. And you know, yeah, it was a sad scene, you know what I mean? If you didn't get teary-eyed, you know what I mean, then I don't think you're human blood. But you know, for us random that's watched the Walking Dead, you get me, from you know, from the very beginning, you know what I mean, and understand where it's kind of come off. It was very touching, you know what I mean, because you know we've seen what they've gone through. What was wrote on the letter is exactly what we've seen, you know what I mean, with eyewitnesses, as an audience, you know what I mean, in the, you know, actually in the actual, you know, in previous seasons, you know what I mean. So it was hard. Yeah, it was heart pounding, bruv. It was a lot. It was a lot. That episode wasn't. That part in particular was a lot. You know what I mean? It was deep. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah. So the good thing out of that was that, you know, it reflected both on Sherry and Dwight's relationship. You know, Sherry started to see the light, and she started to realize to herself, you know what, this guy John Dorie Senior, John's father, has never seen his kid for like 40 years. He abandoned them, and she's like, I don't really want that to happen to our relationship, because obviously, like, I've seen you change from being this bad person to a good person, you know what I mean? And she's like, if you could change, why can't I? And she was afraid of that. And obviously, like, he's like, and Dwight was like, you know what, like, it doesn't matter, like, we can just, you know what, we could just start all over again, you know, let's just start all over again. And I mean, and she was like, what do you think about it? She said, yeah, I like that. And you know, they hug, and it was just nice to see that, you know what I mean, because they've been in this, specifically in this season, both Sherry and Dwight have been back and forth. Like, they've been in and out, you know what I mean. It's like we've seen a married couple, like we've seen marriage life, you know what I mean. We actually seen marriage, you know what I mean. Real marriage life. I mean, we witnessed it in this season, I mean, between Dwight and Sherry, I mean, which is how marriage really is, I mean, in the season, but between Dwight and Sherry. Seriously, it's like, it's been mad. But yeah, and then obviously, and they come back together, you know, both Sherry and Dwight ride on the horse. June drives off with John Dorie Senior. They go back to the place, back home. I'll say back home, where, you know, Morgan's spot, or I think it's their spot now, but it hasn't got a name yet. So I just call it Morgan's spot because obviously he hasn't got a name yet. But yeah, and then obviously she introduces John Dorie. Oh yes, just before that, sorry. This is why I like to always look back, just because I miss out important parts. June gives Dwight back the rings, and he was like, "No, you can have it." He said, "No, you take it." And obviously, because I think he gave, I can't really even remember the time when Dwight gave that to him. Maybe I can't remember. Maybe I know it was definitely from season 5, but I can't remember from the top of my head when he gave it to him. But yeah, she gives it back to him and said, "You know, take it." And then obviously, yeah, they both head off back to the place, back home. I'll call it now. Then obviously, June introduces John Dorie Senior to Morgan, and obviously Morgan obviously had his own apologies that he wanted to make his own announcement or apology to June about what he said earlier. But before that, she introduces John Dorie, and John Dorie Senior, he reveals to Morgan, yeah, I'm John Dorie's father. And he's like, and he's looking at him like, wait, I'm confused, like, how? I mean, how is that possible? And then she's like, you know what, then you know, he does a little apology to June, and then we get a little glimpse of Grace. You just see Grace is quite upset, and then obviously this guy, John Dorie Senior, John Dorie's father, explains to Morgan about who this Ftwd guy is, and he's telling him that this group are not going to stop until everyone's been killed. And he said that then we need, and then the last thing he says, that then we better get to work, and obviously we know that, you know, they're all going to come together to take this group down. So we already know it's going to be another war. I think, you know, already know Morgan's already ready for it all, you know what I mean, from the war in Walking Dead with Negan, you know, the very big war, you know. Yeah, so you know, I think, you know, they already knew that for the war with they you know, from the kingdom, you know, the kingdom, Alexandria, Hilltop, you know what I mean, you know, just the wars they had. I mean, I forgot what was Negan's group called again. I'm just trying to remember what Negan's group was. From the top of my head, I can't remember from the top of my head, mate. It's been a while since I watched Walking Dead. So yeah, he knows all about the wars. You know what I mean? I mean, both Dwight and Morgan both coming from that world. So yeah, so we really see that, you know, there's gonna be, they're preparing for another war. You know, and you know, they've already, in just this season alone, they've already been in many wars already. I mean, from Logan to then Virginia, and now this new Teddy guy. I mean, and it's like it's crazy. I mean, it's like, you know. Yeah, Fear the Walking Dead's doing it for me, man. It's really, really good at the moment, you know what I mean? And it's really like, like, yeah, man, like I'm loving it. Just a quick announcement. I just saw on the news, Walking Dead is gonna be now on Star, so Disney Plus. So those who are looking to watch, who've never watched Walking Dead before and want to get onto this, you know, program of watching Walking Dead and finding what it's all about, and, you know, want to know what this world or universe is about, I say watch it. It's from all seasons, from season 1 to 10. It's going to be on Star, I think July 2nd. Yeah, July 2nd is going to be premiering on Star Disney Plus. And for those who are Disney Plus customers, can watch, you know what I mean, can enjoy all 10 seasons of The Walking Dead. Yeah, but for me here, that's it for the Fear Walking Dead. Until next time, you know what I mean, we'll have my second review. But guys, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the subscriptions. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support and that. You know, I'm gonna just keep doing what I do. And until next time, people, peace. Oh yeah, before that, have a good day. Enjoy your evening. Enjoy your day, whatever. Because some people might be watching worldwide. And yeah, peace.